Hello to those listening on the recording. So today's date is the 22nd of
23rd.
23rd. Thank you for correcting me, of April 2025. Now, would you like to introduce yourself first, and then I will introduce myself?
Are you sure you don't want to go first? I'm a guest speaker on your show, so
Okay, I'm happy to go first. So this is Sacred Segments. My name's Alexis Constantinou. I've been told that I don't say my name right because I've anglicized it. Um, Constantinou is the correct way to say it, but it always feels a little strange. We were just talking about divine timing, and I'm very much a believer in the infinite organizing power of the universe and synchronicity. And I think it's not by chance that you and I have met. I always feel that there is a divine purpose and synchronous purpose behind everything, including communications and people showing up at certain times or not.
definitely.
I think I'm very much a believer in that everything is exactly as it should be, even though sometimes we don't feel it to be.
Absolutely. You speak my language.
Right, I thought I might. Tell me about you. Here's somebody. Carl is just joining us. Carl is
Oh,
Irish. Do you know him?
Carl, no, but welcome, Carl. Um, my name is Clíona O'Connell, and I'm a therapist and alchemist. And today oh, hi Carl. I think we met before. Were you in
Hello,
a
Carl.
previous show, perhaps? But
Yes, you just making the introductions. Welcome.
okay, so I'm delighted to be here. Had to have been invited by Alexis to do a presentation tonight, and that's going to be coming from my therapist bag of tools on like techniques for managing the shift and navigating through what we're going through at the moment. And this can be if you're feeling overwhelmed or more emotions than usual, or anxiety, stress, confusion, and feeling like you've got a foot in two worlds, perhaps one in the 3D and one in the 5D, then I'm going to share techniques for dealing with that during my presentation. Um, and what else shall I say? Um, what else would you like me to mention, Alexis?
You wrote a book, is that right?
I'm in the process of writing and finishing this book called Ever the Sea Calls Me Home, A Pilgrimage of Awakening, but it is not yet available to purchase. However, if people join my newsletter, they will be informed at the right time and be invited to join the crowdfunding when that appears shortly.
Okay, great. A lady called Cheryl is just joining us. Hello, Cheryl.
Yes,
Welcome.
Hello,
Cheryl, lovely to
hello,
see
Cleona.
you.
And you?
So glad you joined us. Yeah,
Yes, got here just in time.
Yes.
perfect timing. Yes,
We were
absolutely.
just talking about divine timing, and then you popped
Oh,
in, both of you. All right, before we start, and before I hand over to Cleo, I want to check that I'm saying your name right. Cleona?
Cleona.
Cleona. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
it's
I'm gonna
awkward. I
say
know
it
for
right.
English people because the way English people pronounce makes it awkward, but it's Gaelic, so it's Cleona. The stress is on
So,
the I.
and,
Uh,
and where are you based right now? Where
I'm in Greece now. So actually, that's another thing I wanted to mention about timing. It's actually 2 hours later here, so it's already 9:05.
Okay.
Um, so I'm hoping I will be able to stay until the end of the evening, but it will be 11 o'clock. You know.
Well, when we do questions after you have presented, uh, I definitely have a question about Greece and what took you there and all the rest of it.
Oh, that's my whole book.
Okay. All right, well, maybe just a brief response to that later. But for now, I would just like to go round the group quickly and ask the two of you that have joined us to introduce yourselves. Carl, would you like to go first? Give a couple
Yeah,
of
hi, sure. Hi, I'm Carl Preisler. I'm originally from Ireland. I'm now retired, living in Spain. I used to work in IT for many, many years, and I, I suppose my interests and my special gift is I'm a trance medium. So I allow my spirit guide to basically communicate through me. He takes full control and brings through philosophy and guidance. And also, it's a way of facilitating healing on a kind of more physical level through the trance work.
Beautiful. Thank you for
Thank
sharing.
you.
And Cheryl, would you like
Hello.
to? Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I'm based in Cornwall in the UK, and I've had the pleasure of working with Clíona for quite a few months of last year, and knowing that she's made such a difference to my life, and spiritually and emotionally, it's been brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
It's all right.
Beautiful words, Cheryl. Thank
That's
you.
lovely. Thank you for sharing. And what's your background, Cheryl?
My background at the moment is I work with disadvantaged children and adults doing animal assisted therapy. And I've recently branched out into life coaching as well, all because of Clíona.
Well, if you haven't already, please join the Sacred Segments Facebook page, because I would love to stay in touch with you and maybe
Yeah,
have you on as a guest in the future, because I love animals and I'm also a coach in different fields, and something we could talk about a little bit more in depth in future. Thank you for
that
joining
would be
us.
good.
Great.
Yeah.
And Carl is joining us from Spain, I know. So we're really international here. I'm in London, but I'm Greek. Um, there's lots of connections going on here. My background is as a singer, and I've done a lot of work in the personal development field, both as a coach and personally. Clíona, give us a little bit more about your background, and then go for all of the things that
Okay.
you might tell us.
So I've been a therapist since 2010 and trained in somatic trauma therapy. And then I started working in working in Tantra for a little while. I worked within that industry. And then from there, I was guided to shut down my business and leave England altogether. And it was just before the pandemic hit. My spiritual teacher told me it was going to be a year from hell in 2020, and it was a good idea to get out before then. So I did manage. I mean, my own guidance had told me to leave. And so it was only that she underscored my own guidance. Well, I was trying to ignore my own guidance, to be honest, because I didn't really want to leave. I wanted to get a mortgage and settle down and everything. And that wasn't going to be on the cards for me. So I had to pack up everything and leave my home and leave my country and all my friends and get in a car and go on this pilgrimage, which started in France at the sacred sites or the Magdalene sites. And I went through France and Italy. I was stopping at the Chartres and then Lourdes, and had lots of different spiritual encounters. I was guided by the divine feminine the whole way. She spoke to me and was my guide, and there was lots of adventures happened on the way to finally making it to Italy, where I met up with my spiritual teacher and did this training, which I left as a as a facilitator of her work, which was called the Sacred Order of Light, Energy and Information at 17. And I've transformed it into my own version of the work, which I call Divine Light Healing. And then more recently, I trained with one of your other guests, Dominique Malley, in alchemy in 2024. And that is what I've been working with primarily and what Cheryl has experienced, the alchemy healing, which is very strong and potent. So I have 2 of these healing techniques available to me. Yes, so I also use my therapeutic tools in a session with me. It can be coaching, it can be teaching, it can be therapy, and usually it includes alchemy healing. So, and I can even work with animals. I've got a few dogs who are clients, and a cat, had a cat as well. So it's not just humans who benefit. One dog was epileptic and he's no longer epileptic. So yeah, I do animal assisted healing in a different way. Not that I have animals with me, but not like Cheryl's farm, but I have, I do have clients like that. So, I love my work and I feel like I'm on my soul purpose, and I am humbly participating in assisting the ascension process. That is my reason for being here at the moment anyway, and it's a very exciting time to be alive.
Now, that's all incredible. It's just to hear a little bit of a snapshot of your journey so far.
That's all in my book as well. The pilgrimage details that journey, that leaving England bit.
So talk to us a little bit about the shift and what that means to you, and also, how we can interpret what that means.
The shift is we've been born and been living in this 3D reality where we've taken everything to be like, solid as like this, and we see people that are out there. But in actual fact, as we come into this 5D reality, which is like where when I talk about ascension, I mean that we're moving into a higher dimensional reality, higher frequency, this 5-dimensional reality, the new earth, as some people are calling it. As more and more people start to realize that they are divine beings and that we are all divine beings and we're not brutalized victims, and that taking responsibility for our lives is really crucial and important, because it's the only way to actually step forward. I'm sure you all know this, but in case anyone who's watching didn't know this, we are all now being brought to the point, brought through all of our shadow, anything that's left, any old childhood wounds, any old patterns or traumas, or any alien interference, ancestral, generational trauma and karma is all coming up to be cleared. So that can feel pretty overwhelming, as it's all coming up more or less at the same time. We don't really get a break. The ascension process and the shift is that we need to come into alignment to embody our higher selves, and then we come into oneness with everyone else who appears to be out there, but actually everyone is a facet of ourselves, because we are God, we are the divine, we are one with everything and everyone, and all the people that appear to be outside of you are just mirrors. So that's does that answer your question?
Yes, it does, but it brings up another question. But just before I ask it, Could I just ask the person that's just joined us to identify themselves and just to say hello and introduce themselves? If you don't mind, please, if that's possible. Or write a chat, if that's okay. Are you there?
I wonder who it is.
While that person is getting ready to say hello, even in the chat if possible, my question is this. When you said that we are God, we are all God, do you think that that we are all fragments of the divine, experiencing as individuals, but we're coming back to a remembering? Is that how you would interpret it, or would you interpret it differently?
Sorry, I just say welcome, Paula. If you're the Paula who I know, you're welcome. It would be lovely to see you. I hope you can get your video working on your phone if you have Zoom recorded. But anyway, you're welcome. And sorry, Alexis, would you mind repeating? Because I got
Yes, my question was about all being the divine. Do you think that we're going back to a state of remembering our oneness? And do you think that that is also part of this shift that you're talking about?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're not going back to remembering, we're going back to experiencing ourselves as one. So that may be coming into your life in a way that you feel more harmony when you're out in nature. You feel like you love the bees or the birds flying overhead, or your animals, Cheryl, with more and more love, and with people and compassionate, feeling more like you want to help, more like you want to be in service, more like you want to be assisting. You don't want to be competing so much anymore, but more collaboration, and more joy, really. And yeah, that is, so we are all facets of this divine, this one, this God, this and the God that's split off from itself, and we agreed to believe in the illusion of separation in order that we as God could come to know ourselves better and have experiences, and also to learn and to grow, and sometimes to balance our karma from previous lives, if we've done misdeeds in the past.
Could you always hear the voice of spirit, or is it something that happened to you later in life?
Yeah, it happened to me later. I mean, I think it was always there, but at the beginning, I brought in so much past life trauma, and then my childhood didn't give me the information opposite that I was safe. So I was being kind of detracted from by these past life traumas that were, playing in the background and giving me chronic anxiety for many years, until I had a couple of car accidents, one after the other, and 7 years of trauma. And during that time, I learned shamanism and had many shamanic healings. So I learned a bit about shamanism. And during that time, I became aware of my guides. And then it's kind of built from there. So yeah, they were probably always there, but I just wasn't able to hear them until I'd cleared off some of the top layers of these trauma that needed to be moved through.
I understand. So if you were going to condense your message this evening and then sort of break it down a little bit more about the tools that we need for this shift, and what we're going through, what's the message in your book, how would you describe that? How would you define that?
So the message in my book is to follow the calling of your soul at all costs. Excuse me.
Beautiful.
Just checking in what's going on with my throat. Something's happening.
Are you okay?
Okay, I just got the message to speak from my heart and not my head, which is another of the shifts that we're going through as we move in from the 3D into the 5D reality. So, yeah, that's the message in the book, is to follow your soul calling, no matter what the cost, no matter if you have to give up all your friends and family and go into a solo pilgrimage, and not knowing your destination. That was what I did. But not everyone is called to do the same thing. Everyone has different callings. So my message today, moving on from that, because it's a little bit, that journey began, before the pandemic, so it's a little bit in the past. So today, I would say, do whatever you need to do to stay out of overwhelm and to keep yourself calm during this intense period. And know that you are a divine being, and you're going back to being a being of infinite possibility and being able to create and manifest the life that you want.
And how does one define really following that inner guidance? How do you do it, other than, I mean, for me, it's being present and reminding myself to be present. How does it work for you?
I hear voices more usually. I know there's clairaudient, clairsentient, clairvoyant, and I'm more clairaudient in that I hear things usually. But I do also, like this, I just had this tickle in my throat. I also feel things and then tune in and ask what's going on with my teams. I have a whole team. I have many teams that I became aware of when I started the alchemy training. That there were many more teams, not just the Divine Feminine or Christ, but the Christ Ascension team, the Divine Unity, and the Pleiadians, Atlanteans, Lemurians, Isis, and the Horror Priestesses, and the Angels, and Dolphins team. Yeah, quite a lot of teams. And Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary, she's very present with me at the moment. So I often hear this kind of compassionate mother voice speaking when I ask a question or something's going on. It's not like you put a question in ChatGPT and get an immediate answer or something. It's like something that has to be felt or sat into, or sometimes I just have to wait and wait for things to be revealed.
When I feel into your energy, I feel a massive connection with the ocean, like really huge. It's almost like that energy is speaking through you. That's how I feel.
Wow, thank you, Alexis. Well, it's interesting because my name, Clíona, or reason I haven't gotten rid of it and made it easier, is because it means Clíona was a goddess of the waves in Ireland. And so I have that energy in me. And she was a goddess of the other world, connected to all the all the animals of the sea and all the nature beings, and just a force to be reckoned with, really. So she has that, and also very watery. Most of my life until recently, I used to cry at the drop of a hat. But lately, since menopause, or since I don't know exactly what my latest spiritual journey, I didn't cry so much as I used to but I still am very connected to the sea. My book is called Ever the Sea Calls Me Home. So it's yeah, it's true. And that comes from my beloved friend Steph Bradley, who wrote a poem entitled Cleona's Tale about the goddess Cleona. And there was a line in the poem, so it just seemed perfectly apt.
Do you remember your past lives? Are you aware of them?
Yeah, I become aware of them when I feel symptoms. And I did during the book experience a lot of very negative symptoms while I was having French lessons, because it was just prior to going to France. And I experienced many torture symptoms. I just feeling threat and dread and horror, and these kind of like, where is this coming from, kind of emotions. And Swan, who was my, as I mentioned, my spiritual teacher, told me that yes, you were a victim of in the Inquisition.
Cathars?
With as a Cathar, yeah, the Cathars were persecuted for centuries. So that happened. And then, but also, this interesting point, where she said, we like to think of ourselves as the Cleopatras and the good ones, in the world, but we fluctuate in lives as the victim and the perpetrator. We go back, we have alternating themes in our lives, if you like. And so she said, then I continued having awful symptoms, like I had an ear infection. And I said, what's going on? And she said, as well as being a victim, you were also an inquisitor, which sent me into an incredible dark night of the soul. Of course, wailing and weeping, how is it possible? I'm a good person. But nonetheless, when she did the healing of that, and I kind of saw a vision of me in that place with these victims in a kind of dark, like cave type dwelling with a big fire, and these victims lined up against the wall. I knew that she was speaking the truth, because when she did a healing around that, the ear, I saw myself cutting the ear off someone, and when she did the healing around that, my ear infection started to heal. But she said very importantly, this is not about you feeling better. It's not about you feeling better. It's about what you can do for them. This is about making amends. And this is a really key point for anyone who's got karma to clear, is that I can clear a lot of it with the alchemy or the divine light healing, but sometimes we have to make amends. And I've often sent clients off to do a ritual by the sea. One client was like throwing stones into the sea in a prayer every day for a week or something until it was done. And they often pray, and I often suggest the metta prayer, the Buddhist loving kindness prayer, of a way of like balancing karma. May they be well. May they be free from suffering. May they be happy. May they experience the arms of compassion. May they experience divine unity and coming into their higher selves. These kind of, as a prayer, as a kind of mantra. It's a way to redress negative karma. As well. The whole metta prayer is, you pray for yourself, you pray for the other, and you pray for the world. But I was using the separate pieces. The first piece, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be free from suffering, as a technique for self-love. A lot of people come to me and they're lacking in self-love. So I use that for self-love. And then for the karma healing, the second part. And yeah, so some people tell me they're still using it.
Could you please share that metta prayer on the Sacred Segments Facebook page?
Yeah, sure. It's on my website, but I will share that. Yeah.
Thank you. That's so beautiful. Yeah, I want to familiarize myself with that. I have a question, if I may, about your crying that you were talking about in the past,
Crying.
how you've stopped. Were you crying because of your sort of overwhelming sensitivity? And how have you switched that off, if that was the case?
It wasn't switched off. Let's say it's not like there's one button and you can switch and that's go off the crying, because that's a bad thing. Crying, I don't remember, but Steph, within this poem, she talked about liquid eyes and dark pools of water. I was sensitive. I was sensitive and I was overwhelmed, and I did go through a lot of trauma, which is very destabilizing. I had 7 years before I managed to get out of that trauma, and thank you to Lindsay McKenzie for all the shamanic healing she did on me. And then, then there's more. There's always deeper layer. Well, maybe not always, but there are many, many deeper layers until we get into this place of divine alignment, and like where we're shining and radiating our full luminous essence, ourselves, when we really come into our true nature and our true state of being. So there are lots of layers to clear, and I've cleared many, because I went through this. Like, I had 10 sessions with Swan before I left England around chronic fatigue, which I had for many years, and then that cleared. And then I had many more sessions around relationships and patterns and boundaries and different things. So by the time I got to Italy to do her training, I'd had about 20 sessions with her. And then I did this. And every session, it's not just like a physical healing, it's a spiritual evolution. As we heal our physical ailments, we evolve spiritually.
Who
And
is
that's
Swan?
Swan Montague. She's a very powerful teacher, leader, and healer. Sacred by Swan is her website. So yeah, yes. So then when I did that divine light healing training, I cleared so much of my staff from my triggers were gone, all patterns from relationships that were, grief, and more layers of trauma were cleared from past lives, past lives. We didn't work with parallel lives in the divine light healing. And so through peeling off all these layers like an onion, eventually I'd cleared what was causing the sadness and the sorrow and the pain, and the tears just kind of stopped automatically because I was living in joy much of the time, experiencing so much more joy and lightness in my life. So it's not like, you can't just kind of avoid it. You need to go through it, peel off the layers, and have a powerful technique for doing that. And then, of course, with Dominique, when I'd trained in alchemy, gone through more layers, past and parallel lives, and more trauma, and and getting down to some core issues that have been bothering me forever. So that's now more or less clearing.
May I just rewind for a second and just go back to the question that I asked you before, which was, how do you identify listening to your inner guidance rather than your mind?
I feel it in my body, and it resonates in my soul. It's a different quality of that comes in. It's not like the same as the speaking voice, but it's slower, the slower pace of the biological movements of the physical body. Because in here, there's so much wisdom in our body. Listening to the gut and the heart, there's like 40,000 gray brain cells in the heart and like 200,000 in the gut. So the wisdom of the body is massive. And when we spend our lives in our heads, it's so difficult to become embodied. So I was going to offer at the beginning a kind of grounding and embodying meditation would be my first offering, and then I was going to offer a technique for overwhelm, or maybe the opposite way. So does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely it does. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, that would be great to have those tools.
So how are you guys doing, Carl and Cheryl? Do you want me to carry on with giving the presentation? Because this was all totally unprepared and spontaneous. I hadn't realized this was going to happen, but it's delightful to have this.
No, it's good. It's coming across as very natural and real. I'm quite happy.
Great, thanks, Cheryl.
Yes, likewise. I think any sharing that's from the heart is, inspirational. And so, who needs a script? You just have to go with the flow.
Exactly. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to look at my little notes briefly here and just check that I'm kind of on track. Oh yes, okay. So shall I start then, Alexis?
Please do, yes. I'm going to center you, if I may, spotlight you.
Is the lighting here okay?
Oh yeah, lovely. I'm just going to put you in the center of the screen if that's okay with you.
Okay.
But feel free to carry on while I figure that out.
All right. Okay, so the first thing now, I'd just like you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable and tune in and notice how you're feeling. So you can notice if there's any adrenaline, or if there's any shakiness, if there's any anxiety, or if you're feeling like great peace. Just get a kind of feeling sense of what's already present for you. Just take a few breaths to tune in to how you're feeling. So hopefully everyone's kind of got a little sense of how they're feeling now. You can just follow sensations in your body, your heartbeat or your pulse, or just notice what's going on in the background. So the reason I want you to do that is because I'm hoping you're gonna feel a difference if I do this centering exercise with you first. So this came from a beautiful woman in England called Lizzie Hubbard, and who's no longer with us. And I don't know where she got it from, but it always helped me really a lot when I was going through trauma and when I felt really out of my body and needed to come back in, when I was unpresent and dissociated. But it also works for anxiety and just feeling a little bit upset. And I'm glad you're recording this, Alexis, because it's useful for people to repeat. It's also on my YouTube videos. So the first thing is to, you need to open your eyes. If they're not, take one set of fingers. Can you see my fingers? One pair of fingers like this, and the other one, want to put one on your collarbone and one on your heart. sorry, on your, yeah, one on your collarbone and one on your belly. And this one on your collarbone, I want you to move it to like kind of agitate it for a couple of breaths. The one on the belly stays still, it's not doing anything. It's just kind of, staying still. And the one on your collarbone is moving. Just take a couple of breaths. And then swap your hands over. So the one that was on your belly is now on your collarbone. It's important you're touching the bare skin as well. If you need to go underneath your clothes, I think that helps. And this is for balancing the left and right sides of the body. Now, the next one looks a bit weird, but take the hands from your collarbone and put them above and below your lips. So you're keeping one hand still on your belly and you're moving this one on your lips for a couple of breaths. And then swapping the hands over. So and then finally, taking the hands from your mouth and putting them on your back, on the coccyx, the tailbone area, and keeping one hand still on your belly and just rubbing this whole area on the back. And this is for balancing the front and back of the body, connecting the front and back, and then swapping around so that you've got the other hand on the back. So now just check in with yourself that you did a minute ago. Do you notice any difference? Do any of you feel any different?
Yes, I do. I've gone tingly all over on my skin, and I'm just aware of all of my body as one.
Great, Cheryl, thank you. And do you feel more calm at all?
Yeah, I'm calm in my mind, but my body wants to do something now.
Ah, okay, like what?
I feel like I should be walking or moving or something.
Okay, well, that gives me, we can move on into shaking, which is going to be further down the list, but I'm just going to check in. Good. Paula said her shoulders relaxed and dropped. That's good. Let's get the full chat up. Oh, where is the chat? Shoulders dropped, and it's a great technique. She's done it before too. Alexis or Carl, did you notice anything?
Feel more balanced and more centered. When you asked how we were feeling, I noticed I felt scared, which I didn't know where that was coming from. But that was the word that came to me. I was maybe feeling unsure and unclear. I don't feel that.
Maybe you're feeling someone else's emotions as well.
Could be. I noticed that, the front and the back thing is a technique that I use in the King technique, which is a healing technique for chakra balancing. And I just noticed placing the hands there and moving them around sort of centered my energy a little bit.
Good.
Yeah.
And Carl, did you notice anything?
Not really. I was already quite settled, and when I checked in myself first, quite slow and
So you probably
like,
don't need it.
no. I
Great.
can get to that state quite quickly, so
That's great. So yeah,
helps when you're not working.
helps when you're not watching, you say.
Not working and you're retired.
Ah, yeah, that's nice. So one of the things I was going to offer is a shaking technique. And would you think that this has also really helped me a lot when I was going through my trauma, because the body needed to move. And of course, Carl, you probably don't need it especially, but you know, Ratu Bagas, this man, guru, has these retreats and people shake for days on end, maybe even, you know, a week, or maybe I think even a month. So
Name again, sorry.
shaking.
What's the man's name that you just said?
Oh, isn't it called Ratu Bagas? I think.
Bagas.
Ratu Bagas, I believe some of my friends told me about him years ago, and but also on different teachers of mine have recommended 15 minutes of shaking a day, just to clear the energy fields and let everything drop down and to become back into peacefulness and calmness. And you can also let off some sound during that shaking if you want to. Now, I don't know.
Is that a bit like TRE? I don't know if you've heard of TRE, which is also kind of I did it once with a teacher lying down, and you get your body to shake, and then it kind of gets to a stage where it takes on a will of its own, and you release a lot of trauma through that also.
Well, it's maybe similar to that, but it's standing up. And then it can be that you start off with the shaking and then your legs kind of just do their own thing as you release a lot. This is what the animals in the wild do when they're traumatized by being chased by a lion or whatever. They find a safe space and then they just let themselves shake. And human beings don't do that as a matter of course. So that's why 15 minutes a day is quite. I mean, not that we're being chased by animals about to be eaten, but we are, you know, undergoing stress and threats, or perceived threats, on a daily basis. So it can help to have a little technique, and it can be fun as well, to release. So, shall I go into this rather than the embodiment? Maybe I'll do the embodiment at the end. Because I know Cheryl felt like she needed to move. Do you still feel that, Cheryl?
No, it's calming now. But yes, you can do it if you want.
Okay, so let's see if the sound is going to work. So I'm going to play some African music, and I recommend that we have a shake for about 5 minutes. Does that seem okay, Alexis? Are we doing okay for time?
Yeah, that's fine.
So let me know how it sounds, if it works.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
No.
Were you able to hear that sound?
No.
Ah.
Sometimes if you go to the settings and where the audio button is on the left, if you have that, if you can see that, there's a little arrow, and then if you click on that arrow for the audio settings, it's at the bottom.
Is this to mute or unmute? It doesn't seem like there's anything else to be done. Oh, I see. Oh, yeah, here we are.
The little arrow.
Yeah, I've got the arrow.
And then
Air
you
microphone.
Under audio profile, under settings, you go to original sound for musicians. That might help.
I don't know if I've got that.
Okay.
I've got MacBook Air microphone, select a speaker, MacBook Air speakers. Microsoft Team Audio.
Oh no, it's probably different then. Well, don't worry then. We could shake without the drums maybe.
Oh,
Or turn it up.
Yeah, I'll turn it up and see if it helps. Yeah, I'm sure there was another audio setting I could do, but I don't see what it is now. Anyway, okay, I'll go back to the music and turn the volume right up. And then I'll just check with you whether you're hearing anything. So, did you hear anything?
No.
No.
How challenging. Okay, well, life's giving us this situation, so we'll just have to flow with it. So I'm gonna play it quietly so it can give me some inspiration, and then you can hear me speaking over it when it's not too loud. But basically, it's about you just let your body stand up and let your body release as it needs to. The legs and the hips, just letting everything be loose, letting your head be loose. Letting your hands shake. Let your jaw be loose so you're not clenching your mind. Times that when I come up, just count. Do you feel any involuntary movement? Just allow your body to go into that movement. So I noticed Alexis is sitting down. Have you had enough? Was it enough shaking?
It was for me. I do shake a lot because I teach singing, and I get my students to do that. And when I'm singing myself,
okay, good.
Beforehand, it does release a lot of energy. So
okay,
I'm quite used to doing it.
Okay, good. So any reports from anyone? Did anyone feel anything? Any different?
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. It made me smile. What about you,
Yeah,
Carl?
it made me smile too. I enjoyed it. It reminds me of, I think I used to do that as a child because it's just fun when you shake and like to music and just shake and whatever. It's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's a little bit like ecstatic dance, but no, I mean that's another another step further.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Alexis, did you enjoy it despite having done it
I
many times
did.
before?
It felt very freeing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, good. And Paula saying it was worming. Great. I'm glad you're with us, even though we have not video, you're still with us. That's good to
Yeah,
hear.
and it's also something they recommend in certain forms of qigong,
Mm.
and especially like tapping the heels on the ground because it helps strengthen the bones.
Yes, that was a grounding technique that my singing teacher gave us. Standing up on your tiptoes and then coming down hard as a technique of grounding that I've used in the garden. So maybe it came from there, Qigong. Yeah, yeah. Great. So let's see what else I had. So I was going to share a kind of a range of exercises and some advice as part of this presentation. Advice for navigating this shift if you're feeling more emotional and staying balanced in turbulent times. So, yeah, so the general advice before we go into any more exercises is to stay calm, avoid depression, overwhelm, and emotional outbursts. And if this doesn't apply to you, Carl, you can just take it in as perhaps for your friends or family or clients. Maybe it's useful for them. Um, but so I mean, basic things like eat regularly to keep your blood sugar balanced. You wouldn't believe how many women I know who just run around without having any breakfast and then wonder why they're feeling kind of overwhelmed and not able to cope. I mean, maybe you want to eat breakfast at noon, but to just keep your blood sugar balanced, don't try and do too much without having something in your body. And obvious things like get enough sleep, because nowadays we need much more sleep because we're processing so much and a lot is getting processed in our dreams and a lot of people are having disrupted sleep. So if that's happening to you, have a siesta. When I was doing research for this, I found out actually the deepest sleeping time in nighttime is between 2 and 4 in the night. And then between 2 and 3 in the daytime, there is an opposite slump. We've probably all noticed this, being in the office when I was a journalist, trying to stay awake. During that time, I had to eat loads of chocolate or a coffee or something to stay awake. But it's natural if you have the opportunity to have a siesta between 2 and 3, it could be really beneficial. And the other technique thing that I was going to mention is to try and stay calm, not take things personally, and try and learn to respond, not to react, not to just dive in because you've been triggered, but to take a few minutes and realize, oh, it's me. I don't have to lash out at someone else. And I'm probably speaking to the converted here because you all look pretty calm to me. But for your clients or friends or whatever, family, you can try and help them to remain calm and to respond rather than react. And the other thing that I was going to say, because Alexis, we kind of touched on it earlier, about if there are other people's energy in your energy fields. And it's easy. I'm sure everyone here has got some kind of spirit guides. We all have angels and ancestors and probably animal spirit teams as well and spirit guides around us all the time. So you can ask them or you can just say the command and see if it works. But basically, you know, one other of my clients, he's a man who often is described himself as quite cerebral, was able to do this for himself in a session. So I'm sure everyone can do that. You can all do this. It's basically you just say, teams, please clear everyone else's energy from my energy fields. Empty my energy fields of anyone else's energies. Remove it. And I feel a lift and a shift, even though I didn't really meet anyone today. But does anyone want to try that and see if it helps? You could, I guess you do probably need to say it out loud, but you can put your audio on silent if you don't want us to hear you.
I'm incredibly empathic and sensitive.
Did it help you?
I really, really feel other people's energy in my field a lot. And yeah, it definitely helps. And I know that you have to ask in order to
Yes.
receive. I know it's like a universal law, so it's so basic and it's really amazing to hear it. Thank you.
Did it help? Did you feel it clearing?
I felt something. I think I'm still processing it, but there's a difference. Yeah.
You probably need to do it. I mean, it's something that you can say repetitively. Clear my energy fields. Clear my energy fields. Teams, please clear my energy fields until you feel the shift. Because if you're really empathic like that, then you really need to do that several times a day. If you're especially in the situation you're in at the moment. Yeah, anyone else?
Water really helps me as well. Water.
Yes, if you can get in the sea, that's perfect. Or have a shower. Have a shower with a salt scrub is also another way to deal with that. Anyone want to say anything? Carl, Cheryl, Paula?
I use my therapeutic pendulums for clearing my energy fields. So
Oh,
I
great.
like this special Egyptian style pendulum. So
Wow.
I've
What
done that for years and years and years.
you've been using it for years?
Yeah. So it just felt a natural way to use a pendulum for me. And it's a way of, I guess, connecting through my higher self and, you know, actioning the same command. But
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to try that.
yeah.
I hear a pendulum as well because it's difficult to get brass pendulums here. It's a manual.
What's it called, Carl? What's
Yeah.
that type of pendulum called?
Is brass? Is it?
This one is it's an ISIS.
ISIS.
This one is an ISIS pendulum because it's got just the ISIS batteries. I've got a whole selection.
Really? Wow, that's
So
fascinating.
you keep freezing. I have a bigger one, which is a jet.
Wow. It was just we were told to get a brass pendulum for the alchemy training, but I didn't manage to get one because I haven't been off the island and it's difficult to get them here. But you've just reminded.
You can get some of them on Facebook, but also I order mine from a Spanish supplier. Then yeah, because like can't order anything from the UK and Spain anymore because they want to put duty on everything. But in the EU, there's like badge pendulums, and they have a whole range of therapeutic pendulums, and they would ship to Greece, I'm sure, because it's in the EU. So
Did you say badge, as in like wearing a badge?
it sounds like, but spelled BAJ.
Oh, badge. Okay. I've been meaning to ask you to do a whole session on this, Carl. in the near future.
Yeah, that would be
I'm not an
great.
expert though. I'm only an amateur, so like
Matter like you know, sharing experience is what helps us,
yes.
right? All of us, and hearing you know, individual person's authentic truth is wonderful.
Yes.
And they do have their own vibration. You can sense it when you hold it over your palm, the different designs. So they have their own purpose, you could say.
Okay, great. And can we be in touch in the Facebook group or something? If I have another question.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, great. Okay. Cheryl, did you notice something?
Yes, and I've done that with you before, and it does help. But yeah, with me, I need to do it frequently.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
important. You also have a pendulum, so you could try Art Carl's technique.
Yes, I haven't tried that. I am very new to pendulums, so I treat mine with a lot of respect and very carefully, because I'm not confident enough with it yet. But I would look into that.
I'm the same as you, Cheryl. I feel like I'm always doubting myself. I use pendulums a lot, but then I kind of give up, thinking, oh, it's not working. It's my imagination. I'm controlling.
Yeah.
No, I always felt it was a useful aid for clearing my chakras. So right from when I started doing Reiki, I just found that it was a good way of getting feedback from myself when my chakra was cleared. And if it was in a rush, I could just hold it over my crown and do all of them in one go and go bzzz. And then when it was finished, it was done.
Wow, great, great ideas. Thank you for sharing that.
I've shared the site where
I
I
got
pulled
it.
something
I
from.
copied
Yeah.
it already and put it into my folders so I can use that. Yeah, great. So it's 10 o'clock now. I think should someone else take over, Alexis?
Well, I'm very much enjoying your sharing. Let's open to questions, shall we? I mean, let's go back to the question that I was going to ask you at the beginning, about Greece and what took you to Greece. And you said your whole book was about that. But could you tell us a little bit about how you? I mean, you did mention it. You touched on it.
Yeah. Well, I remember now. Actually, I read that little piece today. Um, so my teams have been telling me since April that I had to get out of England, and I'd been ignoring it. And then Swan was also saying the same thing. And then by September, I knew I had to, because this guy came for a session with me, a Welsh man, and he said at the end of the session, "I've got something to tell you." And I thought, okay, he's going to say thank you. It was very nice massage or whatever. But actually, he started speaking Welsh in the Mabinogion, which is like, Middle Welsh. And I don't speak Welsh, never mind Middle Welsh, whatever. I had no idea what it was saying. But something in me resonated really strongly with that. And so I was kind of quite, I didn't know what was going on, so I couldn't wait for him to leave actually at the end of the day. And then I just kind of went into my bedroom and I burst into tears. And then all of this guidance just like flowed through, and it said, and never happens like this, never has it happened like this prior or since. It said, this is not your country. Go to Ireland, get a small cottage by the sea, and write a book in 6 months. And that was the guidance that came after this, this Welsh man. So I really knew. I mean, I really had to go. There was no more denying or pretending or being an ostrich with my head in the sand. So, and then I started looking into finding a place in Ireland to go. And no matter how much work I did, and I even employed a PA, and we just couldn't find anything within the time frame I needed, because I'd given my notice in to my landlord that I was leaving. And I left in December in the end, because I was having some dental work done. I really wanted to be finished before, it to be done before I left. So in the end, a friend of mine suggested, why don't you go to Greece? It's much nicer weather there. And I thought, but I'm told to go to Ireland. I can't just, turn my back on that. So, of course, I rang up Swan and booked a session with her. And her first response was, well, I never thought you were meant to go to Ireland. And then we looked into other possibilities, which is why I ended up going to France. And then from France into Italy, and to do the retreat with her. And then from Italy, when I was in Italy, I went to Sardinia for 5 months. I was there through the pandemic, at the first one, the lockdown. And then during that time, I had to go back to England at some point, because I had to move my stuff out of the storage that it was in. And so during the time while I was in England, I had this guidance, and I saw this kind of like the whole of Europe under a black cloud, like this really ominous dark energy. And the only place it wasn't under the dark cloud was Greece. And so I knew that that was where I had to go. It was the only place left in Europe where I could continue to shine my light. So that's why I ended up there. That's the nutshell. You can read the whole book, and it's a bit more. There's a bit more information around that. But yeah, Greece wasn't on the original itinerary, but it did become then the essential part of the itinerary. And since I've been here, I've never regretted it. There's the Michael and Mary, well, the Michael Apollo line runs through Corfu. I mean, many places in Greece and other parts of Europe, but it's here.
Where in Greece are you?
I'm in Corfu.
Okay.
On the island of Corfu in the northwest. So there's ley lines running very close to where we are, and we're in that vibration. So I don't know if you've ever walked on the ley lines. If you've been to Avebury, for example, walking down the village street on the Michael and Mary line, it feels so amazing. Just like so everything comes into harmony and balance. At least that's what it was like for me. And I really wanted to move there immediately, but I didn't want to stay in England. So, but if you want to get an experience of what it feels like to walk on the ley lines, you can go to Avebury, which is a wonderful place to go anyway. And
my whole hair just stood on end when you said that. And my friend just died, who wrote several books. His name's Chris Street. He's a druid. And his books came to him while he was dreaming. He's got a group called Earth Stars. He died last week, but he taught me some incredible lessons. But his book is all about ley lines, and all of his information came to him in dreams.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, when you mentioned that, like my whole body, hair just kind of like, you know what I mean. You know what I mean when your hair.
I know what. Yeah.
I wanted to say to you something, and it came through very, very, very strong. And I'm sure you know this, but I want to remind you of it. And it's this: is that you hold very, very ancient Celtic magic, and when you had that experience with the Welshman, that was an awakening for that magic.
Wow. Thank you, Alexis. That's amazing.
It's the truth, I feel.
Yeah. Yes, he did do some kind of awakening. Wow, I'm really kind of like, yeah, we come together for synchronistic reasons. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone, and see you actually next week. Usually it's every 2 weeks, but for the next 3 weeks, because I'm going away 3 times. And there's a lot going on in my life. I'm going to do next week and the week after. And please join us next week if you can. Thank you for a beautiful session, everyone. I really appreciate all of you. And have a wonderful rest of your evening.